Share screen. Now, can everybody see the PowerPoint slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for today, we will be tackling on Title 1, Felonies and Circumstances which Affect Criminal Liability. So this involves your felonies. So that's why I asked you about felonies, because Chapter 3 is all, Article 3 is all about what felonies are. Now, under Article 3, definition, it says here, acts and omissions punishable by law are felonies. In short, felonies are those acts and omissions which are punishable by law. Another term for your felonies are delitos. Now, how are felonies committed? Second paragraph, your Article 3 states that felonies are committed not only by means of deceit, but also by means of fault or culpa. So, felonies are committed either by dolo or by culpa. Now, how is dolo and culpa defined? Now, dolo or deceit, there is deceit when the act is performed with deliberate intent. And there is fault when the wrongful act results from imprudence, negligence, lack of foresight, or lack of skill. Thus, in felonies involving deceit or dolo, the act performed is with deliberate intent, meaning tinuyuan yun mo. Whereas felonies which are committed by means of fault or culpa, dili nimo tinuyuan, but it is a result from your imprudence or negligence or imuhang pagkadilanghag. That is the difference between deceit and fault, or your dolo or culpa. So don't forget that there are two types of felonies. These are intentional felonies and culpable felonies. They will be thoroughly explained in the next few slides. Now, what are the elements of a felony? So, a felony is one which involves an act or omission. It is punishable by the revised penal code, and it is committed either via dolo or culpa. So please remember that all crimes found under the revised penal code are called felonies or delitos. Now, how do you define an act? An act is a physical movement, a physical activity of human body which tends to influence the outside world. So when you say act, gibuhat yun mo, mechanical movement of your body, because there is physical movement. Commission. When you say commission, it is a violation of a law forbidding it. For example, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill. When you say omission, omission is defined as inaction, the exact opposite of action. In omission, it is the other way around. It is the failure to do a positive duty which the law commands to be done. So when you say omission, you are supposed to do something but you failed to do it. Kay wala kay gibuhat. Now, there are several crimes which are punishable under the revised penal code for your omission or your inaction. Or yung nagpabaya ka, hindi mo tinulungan yung kapwa mo. So it's either Article 116, you have your misprision of treason. This is the failure to report the existence of conspiracy to commit treason. Lapa. Article 275 of the revised penal code, for abandonment of persons in danger. So you are criminally liable for your failure to give assistance to anyone in danger. See? So if you if you omit an action, you're either you may be liable under these circumstances. Any questions so far?
Wala,
Sir,
sir.
sa Article 16 nga na, sir. Ako kakuan, sir.
Ha?
Article 16. 116, sir.
16? Wala pa to sa Article 16.
116, sir. Art.
Ah,
Kanang art, 116.
okay. So, ang Article 116 is misprision of treason. So, this crime punishes a person who fails to report the existence of a conspiracy to commit treason. Meaning, for example, ikaw, Mr. De Los Santos, nadunggan nimo, nakahibalo ka, na naaday conspiracy na mag-commit og treason ng imo mga kaubanan, pero wala nimo gi-report. So, your failure to report is a criminal act under the revised penal code, and you will be held liable for misprision of treason. Nakuha?
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now, define felonies. See? Acts or omissions punishable by the revised penal code. Now, voluntariness is an element of felony. If you look at Article 3 of the revised penal code, it refers there dolo, di ba? So dolo states that the act is performed with deliberate intent, meaning voluntary mo gibuhat na with intention. Gikan yung kabubuton na buhaton yun na siya, which implies that the act is voluntary or freely committed. Now, is there a difference between crime and a felony? So the more accurate term for acts or omissions by the revised penal code are felonies. We already tackled this in the previous discussion, di ba? Whereas if it is punished by special laws, these crimes are called offenses. But if it is an ordinance, imuhang gilabag, then your crime will be called as an infraction for an ordinance. Again, there are two types of felonies: intentional felonies, because it is with deliberate intent or your dolo, and culpable felonies tungkol sa imuhang negligence, imprudence, lack of foresight. Now, intentional felonies, the act or omission of the offender is malicious. Now, under Article 3 of the revised penal code, it says there the act is performed with deliberate intent. Now, when there is deliberate intent, Manggod, it means that there is malice. Malice on your part to do something evil. Now, the offender has the intention to cause injury to another. So what are your examples na naang intent? Like for example, in your murder cases, homicide, in infanticide, always yun na ang intent is to kill. So that's why we always put in our information whenever we file cases regarding infanticide, murder, homicide, that there is intent to kill. Kay mao man ni ang malice na found within those crimes. Now, the elements of your intentional felony are the following. So, on the part of the actor, kung ikaw ang actor or ikaw ang akusado, there must be freedom on your part, intelligence, and intent. Now, how do you define these three? So, for example, freedom. What do you mean by the word freedom? So, when a person acts without freedom, he is not a human being but a tool. Hence, freedom is negated by irresistible force and uncontrollable fear. So, for example, for you to be held criminally liable, you must have the freedom to act on your actions. Kaya nga it's with deliberate intent, di ba? However, if you acted based on uncontrollable fear or irresistible force, then that is not within the realm of freedom because you are being controlled. So for example, itutukan ti kag baril. Kundi mo nimo patyon imuhang manghod, ako ning ibuto ang pusil sa imuhang bungo. So, kung giingana ka sa isa ka tao, do you have the freedom to commit the crime towards your sibling? Wala, di ba? Because you are being controlled by an irresistible force or by an uncontrollable fear, meaning wala kay freedom. Hence, pag wala kay freedom, wala kay criminal liability. Excuse me. Pork butts bilang lumpia. Parang bawal sa atin ang pork.
Kung ka ng biyok sa yan, ubod.
Oo, kahit ubod, bawal sa akin. Ay. Oo, ano lang, so, ano na lang ka na. Ayun, actually. Oh my God. Sige lang, batch na lang. Ang pinakabawal mo yung beef.
Pork lang mo.
Pork na lang. Thank you. Oh, okay. Anyway, moving on. That is what you call freedom. So, dapat na ay voluntariness on your part for you to be criminally liable. Next is your intelligence. So it is the moral capacity to determine what is right from wrong and to realize the consequences of one's acts. You have to remember that morning natawag na to intelligence. Hence, intelligence is negated by minority, insanity, and imbecility. Ngano? Because when you are a minor child, you cannot discern what is right from wrong because your brain is still underdeveloped. Especially if you are insane. Samot na lang mga buang. Hindi na nila kabalo kung unsa ang right from wrong because they are plagued by imbalances of their hormones within their brains. And most importantly, kani mga imbecile or kanang mga mentally retarded individuals who cannot think for themselves, who cannot feed for themselves, and cannot live on their own. Mga imbecile. Now, gani ginabutang nato ang minority, insanity, imbecility as an exempting circumstance. So for example, if a child of 8 years old, let's say, commits the crime of theft, hindi na to sila i-file og kaso because they are minor children, meaning they don't have the intelligence to determine what is right from wrong, and they do not know the consequences of their acts because their brain are underdeveloped. Also, you cannot make an insane person criminally liable because he lacks intelligence. Remember, when you are insane, when you are plagued by schizophrenia, ang schizophrenia mo ni siyang kanang mga buang gani na makita na to kanang magkalit lag salot, bukalit umiingon lag ako ang pinakagwapo diri sa tanang yuta kana. These are individuals who are suffering from schizophrenia. So they don't have the intelligence or the moral capacity to determine what is right from wrong and especially realize the consequences of their action. So, pwede ginaingon nato na pag wala kay intelligence, you cannot be held criminally liable. Now, without this power of intelligence necessary to determine the morality of human acts, to distinguish that illicit from an illicit act. So no crime can exist because if the accused has no intelligence, the law exempts him from criminal liability. Exactly. Kung ako ginaingon na po, ginahimo na to siyang exempting circumstance ang minority and insane or imbecile individuals. Any questions so far?
Sir.
Yes. May pangutana?
Sir. Kanang mga naay problema sa utok, sir, kapareha ng schizophrenia. Kung makakuan na og crime, sir, makakumit, unsay buhaton ana, sir? Kay dili man na sila criminally liable, di ba? Unsa ra na?
Yes. No case will be filed against them because they, under the law, they will be exempted from criminal liability. But
Dili ra na sila ibutang sa kuan kanang healthcare o unsa ba kanang kuan?
Sige. That will be the job of the and the judge. For example, for us prosecutors, for example, minor ka or insane individual ka. And for minor individuals under Republic Act 1944, we will refer you to intervention proceedings, meaning the minor child will be placed back into the community, into the barangay, and the barangay will help him to rehabilitate his actions or rehabilitate his persona so that he can be raised as a normal child kay nitabang man ng community sa pagpaduko siya. So that is what you call intervention proceedings. As for insane individuals, we usually refer them to the mental hospital for proper assessment regarding their mentality. Kay we have to secure a document really stating that they are really mentally unstable or they are really insane, para for them to be perpetually dismissed from the case, and so that proper health care will also be provided. Actually, we've done this already. Like for example, in coordination with PAO, nami isa ka kliyente na among ipadala sa SPMC psychiatric evaluation ward because he has been going in and out manggod diri sa among opisina. So pinili siya mag-commit of crime, and then I said, I think this is no longer kanang nanay problem. I think based on his actions and based on the way he speaks, nag-recommend me na dapat he should be mentally assessed. And then yun nga, the hospital found out that he has mental retardation. He's an imbecile, and that he could not discern what is right from wrong. So moto, may nalang ipadala na mo dito, at least wala nag-attach ang criminal liability sa iya. Any question pa?
Kuan sir, kanang nalang curious lang ko sir nga ni sir. Kanang example sir na ay minor de edad nga bata nga normal iyang pangutok.
Oo.
Tapos naa siya tendency nga kanang murag kuan gani kanang mawad-an siya control sa sarili niya ba. Tapos naka-commit siya crime, nakadunggab siya tao. Dili man siya kuan di ba liable, butang ra siya sa healthcare para sa iyang kuan. Ang inahan-ana sir, kung pananglitan kuan, pwede ba kuan ang inahan-ana ang ginikanan nga murag i-proceeding ani sir sa mental check-up gani kung nganong matino man ilang anak, nganong naing ana, yun sa nila pagpadako, nabay problema sa utok sa inahan, mao naing ana ang anak.
That is no longer covered by our office, but if you are asking if nabay, for example, nagibuhat ang ilang anak, let's say malicious mischief, yang giguba ang let's say kaning inyong ibang bato niya inyong balay nga ang inyong as a result sa pagbato kay naguba inyong sin, whatever. So actually the parents could be held civilly liable, civil lang, meaning they have to pay for what the damages that were caused by the minor child, but they can't be held criminally liable, of course.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Anything else? So, Mona, there are individuals or there are some respondents or mga accused, they feign na kanang pabuang-buang din sila kay para hindi sila criminally liable. So, mag-act sila like as if buang sila kay para lang good
Dagan ba yung maging ana, sir?
Okay. Yun nga, it's a defense man good. Plus exempting circumstance for each. So that's why we really have to look into and send them to SPMC para mahibalan yun na if they are really mentally incapacitated.
Sir, question, sir.
Sure.
Ay,
Sure.
nga. Sir, what if sir isa ka person sir ang kanaan kuan sang kuan sang pangutok sir tapos niyang send yan sang ay sang kuan sir pa-rehab yan tapos yaka-commit yan ng crime so dili man yan criminally liable si anak crime so isend yan sang rehabilitation kay tungod na on something kuan sang kanang pangutok. So pag kuan sir pag madayong yan na utaw sir pag yang kuan dayang fit dayang kanaan pangutok sir pwede pa bayaan sir makuanan ng kuan anang pangitong makasuhan.
Okay. Well, he cannot be ingani man good. When you file a case against an insane person, it should be at the time he committed it under the cloak of insanity. But for example, naayo siya, you can no longer pursue it against him because at the time na he commit niya ang crime, insane man siya. So yun nga, valid defense ang insanity. Tama ba ako ang pagsabot sa imong pangutana, Miss Panicano?
Sir, nawala ko ganiyan, sir. Unsa kay to, sir? Imong tubag.
Okay. For example, si A suffered schizophrenia. So on February 14, gipatay niya iyang uyab. Pero buwang na siya at that time, ha? So he will not be criminally liable because insane man siya. So kung gi-undergo siya rehabilitation, let's say atagan siya sa meds para maayo siya. Once maayo na siya, still you cannot file a case against him because at the time he committed the crime, he is mentally incapacitated, meaning he was insane at the time na he commit niya ang crime. Nakuha ba? Miss Panicano. Okay, nawala siya. Alright, so anything else? Any more questions? Wala na.
Wala akong signal, sir. Oy.
I understand, it's raining, so diha ata sa inyo, once muulan diha, mawala ang sa. So anyway, and lastly, you have your intent. So you have to remember your elements of freedom, intelligence, and lastly, your intent. So intent is presumed from the commission of a lawful act. It is negated by mistake of facts. So there are two types of intent: general, it is presumed, and specific. Mo ni ginaingon ako na this should be proven as an element of the felony. Like for example, in murder and homicide cases, we have to prove the element of intent to kill. So sa may mga intent to kill, di mo na mga facts. For example, gidunggab ka sa heart, gidunggab ka sa may liver area nimo. These are anatomical places magod na imuhang vital organs. So kung dito ka gidunggab, pasabot yun, there is intent to kill. But for example, kung gidunggab ka sa imuhang let's say sa imong taba, sa imong ilalom sa imong ilok, akada dili na siya intent to kill. So pa gidunggab lang ka sa imong kamot, there is no intent to kill there, but there is only intent to injure. So dili na siya ma-prove nimo as element of the crime of murder kay wala may vital organ diya sa imong kamot, so there is no intent to kill, diba? So ano na, so may mga like intent.
What is kanang gikisan, sir?
Ha?
Intent to kiss.
Sa?
Wala, sir. Joke lang.
Okay, sige. So may mga intents. Like for example, in your robbery and theft cases, ang intent is intent to gain. Diba? Kaya kung mangawat lang man ka o murab kag bangko, diba? Siyempre, gusto mo mo dato. So mo nagyatawag ito. There is intent to gain. Gain on your part. Sa pa. Kung mag-ingon ka for defamation cases, gusto nimo there is intent to defame the honor of the person. So gusto nimo pahiyaon gid siya. Akala siya, gusto man siya, bulikat man siya baon siya pipi. Dagan siya lalaki nagtulugan na magbangag siya ang pipi kay mura na unsa 10 inches na kadako mga nga na good. So depende sa imong intent. So pa ba? Yeah. For physical injuries, intent to injure. Ang element sa intentional felony. So na ay freedom, intelligence, and intent. So these are vital. May balang yun na to na he will be made criminally liable. So sir, so may kalahian sa intent from motive. So basically, mo yung difference. Motive is the reason which impels one to commit an act for a definite result, whereas intent is the purpose to use particular means to effect such a result. So for example, ganong nangawat man ka? Okay, nangawat ko sir kay wa man gud may pang tustos sa akong pamilya, wa ko ipakaon sa akong anak, mo na motive nimo. But your intent there is to gain, kay di ba? Intent to gain kay para na mo ikaon. So ang motive lang nimo is kato wala mo sa itong motibo gano'n nangawat, wala kay kwarto, may pakaon sa akong mga anak. Sa baba, sample kung like for example, katong magkidong case, when I interviewed the primary suspect, what's your motive for killing the woman? Sabi, ingon niya sa kuha, I killed the woman because this woman's father killed a very close relative of mine. So mo to yung motibo nga gipatay niya itong babae. Kana, anyway, naklaro ang
Balos
difference
lang, sir.
between
May balos.
balos, revenge. Motive, revenge. So his intent was to kill because ang gigamit niya na weapon is a bolo plus sa neck niya gigulgul. So there is really intent to kill kisa liog man niya buhat ang strike. So kung wala na ito intent to kill, kung yan polish tama, wala na ito intent to kill, kung yan i-polish lang ko sa babae, but then again, liog man na yan gigulgul, so there's really intent to kill. Pero, ang intent from motive, ang gina-prove nato as element of the crime is intent, ha? So, ang motive, immaterial, yun ang motive sa ito, ha? Alright, instances wherein a crime is committed without criminal intent. So, these are felonies committed by means of culpa. So, let's say, hindi na mo intensyon na mupatay, but tungod sa pagkadinanghag nimo, nag-drive ka og sakyanan, nahubog ka, nakapatay ka, there's no intent there, but there is only imprudence, negligence, pagkadinanghag nimo. So you will still be held criminally liable for reckless imprudence resulting to homicide. Isa pa, offenses punishable as bala prohibita. So, ano yung mga offenses bala prohibita? Commonly, mga special laws ba ni sila? Like for example, your Common Act gun ban or your Republic Act 10591, possession of firearms. So kung madakpan sila sa mere fact of possession of these unregistered firearms, then they will be held liable under 10591. Yan ako mangyayang mga yung intent. Ano nagdala mo kag unsa nimo? Baril nimo to protect myself. Dili man pud mga na. Diba? So anyway, next is, diba, there are two types of felonies. So we already discussed what is intentional. So your second one is your culpable felonies. So these are acts or commissions of the offender which are not malicious. Diba kaya, for example, di-drive ka o car, nahubog ka. Tapos, nabanggaan na mo isa ka tao. Is there malice or intent on your part? Wala, di ba? Because, yun nga, nagdilanghag lang din ka. Now, the injury caused by the offender to another is unintentional. It being simply the incident of another act performed without malice. So, klaro, Article 3 of RPC, the wrongful act results from imprudence, negligence, lack of foresight, or lack of skill. Morning requisites nimo sa culpa. If ang intentional felony na ay freedom, intelligence, intent, ang culpa o imong pagkadilangahag, ang kinahanglan lang niya is intelligence, freedom, o imprudence, negligence, lack of skill or foresight on your part. We've already discussed what freedom and intelligence are. So let's move on to imprudence and negligence. So culpable felonies are also known under Article 365 as quasi-offenses. There is no criminal intent, but it is substituted by fault, meaning by imprudence or negligence. When you say imprudence, it means a deficiency of action, lack of skill. So for example, A, while driving his car, hit B because of a slippery road. Because of deficiency of action, because of lack of skill, di siya kabalo, maniobra sa ihang car on a slippery road. Mauna, na-hit. Niya si letter B. Now, when you say negligence, it refers to deficiency of perception, lack of foresight, meaning the failure to foresee what a reasonable man ought to foresee. Wala ka nag-take care sa action nimo kung usa may repercussion ani imo action, baka igo ba ning tao, baka affect ba ning other individuals, ana good. So for example, they placed a flower vase sa iyang window sa eskwelahan. Naron, na strong wind, so nahitabo, nahulog tong flower vase. So pagkahulog sa flower vase, nahigo si letter B while walk siya dito sa school sa baba. So si B nakasustain of injuries due to the incident. Now, of course, A will be held liable because of his negligence. Anong ibuta mo ni mga flower vase sa window, na kaning vase, pwede mo ni mahulog sa baba, pwede rin vase makaigog lahing tao. So muna, you will be held liable because of your negligence. Though it may not be intentional on your part, but because of your lack of foresight and deficiency of perception, you will be held liable. We've already discussed this. Distinguish mala in se and mala prohibita. Mala in se are those so serious in their effects to society, whereas to call for unanimous condemnation to its members, whereas mala prohibita, violations of mere rules of convenience designed to secure a more orderly regulation of the affairs. So generally, mala in se ang ato ang RPC. Whereas special laws, generally, mala prohibita. When you say generally, as a general rule, but subject to certain exceptions. All right. Okay, let's stop there. This will be your assignment. Study and memorize Article 3 and the topics that were discussed, and read the following cases. So read Kalimutan versus People, GR number 152133, decided on February 9, 2006, and Gabriel versus Court of Appeals, GR number 128474, October 6, 2004. So be ready on Thursday. You will have another round of recitation involving Article 3 and the cases that were assigned to you. Claro?
Yes, sir. Sir,
Alright.
pwede mo i-expose sa Article 3, sir?
Ha?
Kung ano ba, sir, sa gidiscuss nimo, sir, para maka-study po ni sir.
Oh,
Ngayon lang may concert, PPT.
Oh, I will send the slides today. Para
Okay, sir.
maka-study.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sige. Tapos pangutana?
Mali siguro sir.
Wala. Alright, sige. Okay, let's turn on your cams. Okay, I need to report this to the school that nagas klase kita. Right, first batch. Turn on your cams. Okay, smile. 1, 2, 3. First batch. For a second. Right, second batch. Prepare. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay. Thank you.